I think that's it.
Ta-da! I'm just imagining this thing just smoking tires and having crazy horsepower. It's gonna be fun. So last time we were here, we tried to test fit the motor, and our original models were showing that we needed to cut a lot of the transmission tunnel out. That led us to pulling the dash out, trying to get this thing to fit, and as we were fitting it in, we weren't super happy with how things were going. So we paused, we went home, Calvin pulled up the models, and I said, hey, you know, what if we, instead of cutting into the trans tunnel, we cut into the subframe? So Calvin kind of manipulated things in the models, looked at what the options are, and bad news for the subframe is he's going to be losing a lot of weight. So we dropped the motor down. It made the hood look a lot better. We're not going to be protruding from the hood as much as we were before. Calvin's remodeled some motor mounts. We're going to get those cut up on the plasma table, and then we'll get those welded together. We learned last week that we need to drop the motor in from the top instead of the bottom, so we're going to drop this transmission off. We'll drop the motor in from the top, remarry the transmission, hack this thing up so that we can get it fitted, weld new motor mounts onto the subframe, and the goal for today and tomorrow morning is to get this motor in the car and somewhat bolted down into the car, and hopefully that'll be its final resting place, and we can start working things from there. So we learned a lot last time, but we, just like every project, you find what works, what doesn't work, and one thing I've learned is things almost never work exactly the way you think they're going to the first time around. So this is round 2.
We're looking at the model here to determine where we need to cut the subframe in order to make clearance for the oil pan.
Precisely. Right there. And just as precisely on the other side. Right there. So I've got my rough cuts on the subframe done. I've got the subframe kind of located underneath the engine on the engine stand, and then I've got the CAD model up, and I'm trying to locate exactly where this engine is going to land on this to see if there's any more that I'm going to need to cut out of that. But this is really helpful to tell, you know, kind of location-wise. I can see the front of my oil pan. There's a pinch weld on the front of this subframe. I need to be about halfway through that pinch weld. So there's a few locating features on here that are going to give me some really good clues on exactly where this needs to go. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time underneath this, fitting it up and making sure that everything's going to clear. And then we should be ready to start making some motor mounts and then get this kind of test fit. Ready to cut.
All right. So you got
That's crispy.
a crispy extension cord, but a minty cut.
Oh yeah. You wanna do some mental math? How many years of grime is in here? Don't ask me to do it.
I won't. Snip, snip.
All right, Calvin, we ready to cut?
Not yet. Okay, so now we've got our work axis set, our materials located on the table. We're going to do one last dry run to make sure that we've got coverage, and then we're going to send it. Since I had to redesign the motor mounts, I figured I would go ahead and make assembly a little easier by using a tab and slot design. The tabs only fit one way, so I couldn't mix up the driver and passenger side mounts. By doing this, I didn't have to take any measurements, and I could just put the pieces together like Legos. I'm welding it. Alright, do you think my battery's charged up, or do you think I'm gonna arc flash myself again?
I think you'll arc flash yourself.
I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit, I think. It doesn't look straight because it's at a 2-degree bend.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The grinding killed the glove.
Aww. Sad day. With the motor mounts all tacked together, it was time to make the spacers that will get welded to the back side of the mounts. After this, we were ready to fit all the pieces together onto the engine.
Very close.
All right, so it's super late, but we've got our motor mounts all cut out and tack welded together. We've got them installed on the bushings. We're doing one last test fit for tonight before we pick it up again tomorrow and get this thing stabbed into the engine bay, but we made a ton of progress today. Everything went pretty well. Having a plasma table has been a game changer, and between that, the CAD modeling, and being able to test fit everything outside of the car, it's made this process a lot easier. And it's starting to look pretty good. We can see the motor mounts are getting pretty close to where they need to land. It's all looking pretty good. It's starting to look exactly like the model.
Can you guide the harness in over there?
The harness is really stiff, so I don't know if it's going to want to move. This is probably going to be something we want to figure out.
Yeah.
All right, it's the next morning. We were up super late last night, but we made a ton of progress. We got the mounts tacked up and mocked up on our table here, and our goal for today is to get it in the engine bay. We've got a little bit of shifting around to do with the wiring. We got some tidying up in the engine bay to do, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. We're up pretty early. We're refreshed. We got our coffee. Let's get after it. You want to say anything?
No. We're deviating. It happens. We started looking at this and started thinking about putting it in the engine bay and looking at this rat's nest of a wiring harness. And we wanted to keep it mostly intact and in place so that we know where everything goes. But I think we're at the point now where we can tell the way the wires were routed in the Camaro are definitely not going to work in the Miata, and we're going to have to reroute a bunch of this stuff anyway. So this morning we're going to spend a little bit of time labeling all of the wires on this. We're going to remove the harness. It'll get it out of our way so that we can get this thing into the engine bay, fitting nicely without breaking. There's a couple connections that we've broken already and we're going to have to repair. So this will save us from ourselves. We won't have to do a whole bunch of repairs, and we're going to have to redo it anyway. So it's coming off. We just want to make sure we know where everything goes before we take it off.
Label it. Just slap it on there.
Okay, that's our engine.
All right, one of the last things we need to do is to address the clearance issue between the transmission and the trans tunnel. We can see it in the model. I've got it roughly marked out, and I know I need to clearance a little over a 1/2 inch in this area right here. We'll just scribe that area right there and persuade it a little bit so it slides right in. That doesn't move as easily as I thought it would.
We'll keep working on it.
We'll keep hitting that.
We'll let you know when we get it.
That's working way better. Hammered it in the right spot. Ta-da! It's in, and it's on its own weight.
And it looks just like what it should look like from the model.
It looks exactly how the model said it would.
Yeah, that's... It's going to poke up out of the hood. Just a little bit right there.
A little bit.
All right.
We landed.
Success. All right, we've had a long weekend. We've achieved all of our goals. We got this motor in the Miata. It's sitting exactly the way we wanted it to. We got the motor mount spot welded, fabbed up in. We need to do final welding on them. That's a job that we're going to do next week. We're pretty tired. We're ready to go home, but we couldn't be happier with how this turned out. It's just amazing how accurate it is when you use CAD modeling and good old redneck engineering. We had a really good time. We're one step closer to doing big old smoky burnouts in this thing. We got a lot more to learn, but we're going to make it happen.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.